was wrong. It was out of anger. It was out of impulse. And I need to work on that. And I want you to know I am is much better than like, don't tell me what to do. Like, I'm the parent, you're the child. You listen to me. Like, go sit in a corner because you made me feel uncomfortable is essentially what the emotionally immature response is, or the authoritarian, you'll do as I say. What makes you the expert? Like, you didn't turn out great. If you're parenting me this way, why would I listen to you? So, yeah, there's a lot.
And I was as ignorant as the day was long when I was a kid. I had no idea
Every child
how
is though, because they don't have so kids for like the brain development is so important for parents to understand why kids make the decisions they make. Infancy lasts from ages 0 to 3. It's not just when they're a little baby till 12 months old. Infancy neurologically lasts from 0 to 3. So it's very important to be attuned and attached to every possible need you can in that phase. And if you don't get that part right, the next blessing is from 9 to 25. Approximately, research shows it can go up to the 30s when the frontal lobe, the rational, critical decision making part of the brain, is pruning, developing, and coming online. When you talk to a teenager and say, "What were you thinking?" They're going to look at you and go, "Huh?" They weren't. This
right.
is not talking to this, which is the emotional part of the brain where they're making decisions from, the amygdala. I did it because it felt good. I did it because she was hot. I did it because everybody else was doing it. They're basing their decisions off feeling. So we can't go to them expecting a rational discussion because they're making an emotional/impulsive decision. Every child, every person on the world goes through this, and eventually their frontal lobe prunes and they lose what they don't need as connections, and they tune into what they do need, and then they start thinking critically, rationally, logically, and they make quote unquote better or more optimized for long-term growth solutions or decisions. But that's not something we could reasonably expect of a child or a teenager, especially if we don't understand brain development and we're not parenting the way that I teach parents to parent prevents the ideally prevents the rupture long later in life where you didn't give me what I needed emotionally. Is when you're parenting a child, your role is to answer every question they have. And little kids ask why in the beginning because they don't know how the world works. And they're literally genuinely curious because it's the first time they're on earth, right? It's your first time being a parent. It's their first time on earth. Give yourself some grace, answer that. Then they learn when the critical mind kind of starts to develop around age 8 is when we see it. And they start to go, well, why? And they're not always asking to learn. They're asking to push your buttons. They're asking to test. They're asking to create their own assertions and their own assertiveness and their own autonomy, which we want to encourage. We don't want to raise a bunch of people pleasers who are more likely to get taken advantage of, become victims, not speak up for themselves, not really get what they want in life or need in life because they're like, I'll just do as I'm told. That's not the generation I'm trying to raise. We can raise somebody who's vocal and respectful. We can raise somebody who goes, you know what, that doesn't work for me. I don't appreciate the way that you spoke to me, even if it's a child saying it to an adult. We need to, as a society, understand it's an old generation, a former generation that would be horrified by that. I would love it if my daughter one day was able to speak up if somebody hurt her feelings and not have to be like, well, I wanted to be friends with them more than anything. Or just because they're an adult means no, just because they're an adult does not mean they get to mistreat you. And like, you definitely don't want to cross me because I'm going to come at it. My specialization as a therapist, like we're going to have a chat and I'm going to make you go back to your own childhood and face why you picked on my daughters.